Hey everybody, this is just going to be a really quick video. Wanted to show you something that's come up a bit when I've been writing on these different tablets, especially going between the books and Supernote ecosystem. One's just a fun thing to show you the difference between the new calligraphy pen that's still in beta on Supernote and the calligraphy pen that is on books. They're both very good. I think that the Manta still has some pressure issues, but I think they'll get that sorted out. And the Go 10.3 has had the calligraphy pen for a while. One thing I do want to show you that is a real friction point, at least for me, is this idea of the Lasso tool and how it behaves between the two platforms, because it's a little bit different. Books, of course, has the smart lasso, and you can just lasso and it automatically recognizes that's what you're going to do, and it's kind of a really cool feature. And they also have their scribble erase, so those are what they're called, their smart scribe features. And the Supernote has the gesture erase and the gesture lasso, but this doesn't really concern the function of the lasso as far as how cool it is, but where it's placed on the screen. So first, I've got these both set to the same thing. They're both set to 1.0, and I'm going to show you just the difference in writing and what that handwriting looks like with the calligraphy pen on both of these. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the Supernote, which is here, and this is the Manta. So it's the bigger version, 10.65-inch screen versus the 10.3-inch screen. The original A5X is the same size as the Go 10.3. I thought about doing that apples to apples comparison, but I wanted to give them both kind of their freshest look. So let's go ahead and write out these two different things and let you see it. This is a test of calligraphy pen on Supernote. And you'll see that actually looks really good. A lot of times what'll happen is as you're writing, you'll get thinner strokes, and that's caused me to have an issue here and there. But I really do like the way this is laid out. Now, when you come over here, and we'll do the same thing here on the Go 10.3, and again, I've tried to keep this as similar as possible so that you can see this next point that I'm going to make. And I'm going to collapse the toolbar over here on the 10.3 just to make it fair, because the Supernote doesn't have that issue to where you have, a toolbar here and there across the top. You can kind of make that a little bit easier. It kind of floats it to begin with. Let's go ahead here. I'm going to be writing at a little bit of an angle, so let me move over a bit. This is another quick issue just with books. So I went to my floating toolbar and it changed my pen. So watch, and I will show you that because I think it's important to note. So let's go ahead and undock this, and then I'll redo this test to show you that. So I docked the toolbar. You'll notice my pen selections changed. And I think that's important to note because it's not something you would expect. It's not behavior that you would expect, because I have this as my calligraphy pen. So now I have to go back, and if I collapse the toolbar, you'll notice my pens change. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is an apples to apples comparison. And I'm going to find my calligraphy pen. It's set at 1.0. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of all of this. All right. So now I've got the correct pen. So let me go ahead and do this. This is a test of the calligraphy pen on the Go 10.3. Now, you'll notice my handwriting's a little off between the two, but that's partially the angle, so I'm not going to hold that against either device. But you'll see that it's very consistent over here on the 10.3, and it's pretty consistent right now, as of this test, on the Manta. I think it's a little bit more vibrant over here on the 10.3. Remember, they're both set at 1.0. But I think it flows a little better over here. If you look at the G's, well, the Y actually looks a little better on the Go 10.3. So they're pretty close to one another. Here's my one issue that I wanted to highlight today. So the Supernote has, and I'm using my Heart of Metal 1, which is my favorite pen. So Let's go ahead and I want to show you if I want to select this and I can technically go off the screen and it's still going to select. And of course, then I can move it anywhere I want. It does a localized refresh to clean up the screen. The ghosting has gotten so much better on the Manta since they tweaked that setting. But now look at what happens over here on the Go 10.3. If I am very careful and I don't go off the screen, it'll recognize the lasso. But you notice there that I didn't. I went a little bit beyond the edge. And I don't know if that's just the way Supernote has set it up to where the actual panel goes just a little beyond the edge and it can sense that. But you'll notice it broke my stroke here. So I'll go ahead and undo that and we will try it again and see if we can get it to recognize. Because if I can do it, and I have so much trouble with this, which is why it causes me an issue. Let me show you how it should work. Let's do that. Here is a test. And I do love the calligraphy pins on both of these. Now, if I circle that, automatic, not a problem, not an issue, no issue at all. It works really well. However, the closer it gets to being off the screen, now if I circle it and I accidentally go out, it actually worked there. It looks like it pulled it in. It's the top of the screen that causes the most issue, or the bottom. So let's see here now. Let's try it one more time and see if I can make this work. Nope. Let's try it one more time. And you'll see it's because it's breaking that stroke. Yeah, so I almost have to draw through the characters to make it work because what's happening is that it's just not seeing that as a selection. It's seeing it as if it is trying to draw something around and it's breaking those strokes and those connection points. Whereas with the Supernote, again, if you do that, and now it does have occasionally the issue, it didn't do it that time, but occasionally the issue of not recognizing everything you circled. But for the most part, it does a really good job with that as well. But so now here, and the reason I want to show that again, if I go to do my circle, even if I go up here and outside of the lines, it still recognizes. And that's a big deal. I don't know what they've done between the two platforms to make that a thing, but it really makes a difference when you're in your flow, when you're trying to make sure that you're just moving. And, you can get rid of the toolbar here. You can get rid of it here as well. So I can go ahead and I can say collapse or hide the toolbar. So I can collapse it. Now I've got the same canvas, but that big issue of being able to just select quickly without having to worry about accidentally going off the screen is a big deal. Whereas over here, I've got to be very meticulous. I started to do the two fingers. I have to be very meticulous and most of the time have to even make sure that even if I draw through the lines to make it work. But if I float out of that at all, if I go right there, you'll see I just barely went off the top and now it's broken. So it's just a small thing, but something to be aware of, especially if you're looking at these devices, because those two functions are basically the same function and they provide the same level of awesomeness when it comes to being able to not have to go to your toolbar for everything. And I think that it's important to understand how they work to make sure that they're going to be of the best benefit to you. Being able to just scribble erase and, say hi, and then, oh, look, I messed that up. And now I can scribble and then it missed the dot, but I can just scribble and that's gone. That's huge. Supernote, to be able to just put my fingers here and circle this and it's gone. That's a big deal, and it's a lot of why we use these platforms. The same thing on books, just to be able to circle this, and now I can do what I want with it. I can cut it, I can delete it, I can move it around. it works really well. It works very much the same between the two devices on what you're able to do. The scribble erase is a little bit more finicky, but that's just because of the way it works. You can't do that on the Manta without going into your pen settings. So it's a lasso erase. That's you get a little bit more fine control here with the books to be able to make sure that that's working correctly. So just something I wanted to throw out there. Wanted to see, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is a deal breaker for either one of these devices? How would you use this? What would you do? And how would you make it work best in your workflow? Be really interested to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and let me know if you found a workaround to this. I wanted to show two features that theoretically are the exact same thing: scribble erase and lasso. Those things are the same across both of these platforms in theory, but in function, it's really important to understand the differences. Anyway, thank you all so much. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think this is off base, if you'd like to see more comparisons like this. Would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions. What else would you like to see if you like these little short, quick videos? But until next time, I will see you all soon and keep on moving forward. Have a great day.